China is ranked lowest in terms of product quality, based on 50,000 respondents in 52 countries. And yet, this probably matters less, or already doesn't, among Generation Z. Today, we'll learn 1. Why Made in Anywhere even mattered in the first place. 2. How and why the quality of where things are made has shifted. And 3. Why Made in China might not matter as much among Gen Zs. From One Up Media, this is Empires. It's not uncommon among millennials to perceive Made in China as bad. Often, they would cite adventures in shopping malls, where they witness their parents talking down on China-made goods, while talking up on domestic products. Often, if it's made in Europe or Japan, it is very good. In theory, where a product is made should not matter, because every country would have its own comparative advantage. For example, in the Philippines, the climate allows favorable production in sugar and coconuts, which in theory would allow it to produce sugar and coconut products more efficiently and effectively than other nations. If each country pursues its own comparative advantage, each country would be known for quality by individual categories, and no one country would be collectively poor. The problem arises because products are now more complex and require knowledge and multi-component manufacturing, which means that a country's advantage is now its people. The more populous and intelligent they are, the more likely they are able to produce the product well. This tends to affect multiple industries and disciplines within the country because in the early days, knowledge was, at best, shared regionally, as it was transported by mentorship, teaching, and education. Because the West industrialized faster than the East, they produced more products, gained knowledge faster, and became known for quality. Things changed when Western labor costs started rising, and satisfying domestic demand with external cheaper products became important. As the world globalized and goods started to come from different countries, a simple process to perceive quality was needed, and thus, the Made in label became a simple way to assess if the knowledge behind the product is sufficient to support the quality marketed. It's also worth knowing that Made in labels are a simple way to leverage protectionism. By always ensuring other Made in labels are perceived as inferior to yours, you can protect your domestic producers. How and why has the quality of where things are made shifted? It's interesting to observe how the quality of where things are made shifts, as a good portion is motivated by politics. But first, a history of perceptions. After World War II, many of the world's supply lines in Axis territory were destroyed, while many Allied supply lines had been repurposed to serve the war efforts. In the West, predominantly in the US, peacetime products were in short supply, and pent-up demand from years of wartime rationing was erupting. At that time, the unsteady alliance of the Allies had fractured because of ideological and political differences, mostly between communism and capitalism. The United States was desperate to contain Russia, which had formed the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, or the USSR. Their strategy was to encourage economic growth among countries at risk and gain favor among the countries they help. But more importantly, reveal to them the merits of democracy and capitalism. Very quickly, economies that were beside communist territories were favored, and an inflow in Western investment came pouring in. From funding, technology, and knowledge, it radically shaped countries who were at risk. The first country that benefited most noticeably was Japan. You can check out our earlier video, The Japanese Miracle, How Japan Outpaced the World in Post-War Recovery. It gives a detailed look on the state of Japan immediately after World War II and the factors that contributed to its rise. But it's important to know that Japan was a burnt wasteland after World War II and almost devoid of available metal. Many of the first few products that were made either failed because the technology wasn't sophisticated enough or the base material was too impure. An example of this is Sony, who actually tried making rice cookers with wooden buckets. According to historic records, the Sony team would head to rubbish bins in the streets to pick up any litter with a strand of metal in it. They would then melt them in iron pans to reconstruct the wiring and plate needed for the rice cooker. Melted trash metal was a function of necessity in Japan. By the end of the war, most buildings were even stripped of metal to produce weaponry. What was left would only be in the form of trash. The metal harvested is often brittle and of low quality, which was why Japanese products earned a reputation for being poor quality. The perception would actually stick for some time, until Japanese soft power became more well known, that they are meticulous and hard-working in their craft. This, coupled with new technological advancements and work processes, would begin changing the public perception of Made in Japan. For technological advancements, a variety of Japanese companies would lead the charge, but in particular, Sony for consumer electronics with a Walkman. In 1979, Sony's co-founder, Masaru Ibuka, was frustrated with the heavy portable radio headphones of the time. Confiding in his co-founder, Akio Morita, the pair recognized the issue as a chance to develop a new product, particularly for younger individuals who wanted to take their music with them without disturbing others. What they saw was the potential market for a portable, personal music device. The engineering team modified Sony's existing Pressman audio recording device and created a lightweight headphone to accompany it. The result was a new device named the Walkman, which sold over 20 million units in its lifetime. For work processes, Toyota would be most noticeable as they perfected the just-in-time manufacturing process using a Kanban system. Just-in-time, or JIT manufacturing, also known as lean manufacturing, is a production methodology that focuses on reducing waste, improving efficiency, and increasing productivity. The JIT process aims to produce only what is needed, when it is needed, and in the exact quantity needed. This approach minimizes inventory costs, reduces lead times, and enables faster response to market changes. Toyota, a leading automobile manufacturer, played a significant role in developing and evolving the JIT methodology by incorporating a Kanban system. The Kanban system, which translates to signboard or billboard in Japanese, is a visual scheduling tool that helps manage and streamline the production process. In Toyota's production line, the Kanban system operates through a series of cards or signals, which are used to communicate information between different stages of the production process. These cards are attached to specific parts or containers, indicating the type and quantity of materials needed for the next stage. As a result, workers only produce or request the exact amount of materials needed, preventing overproduction and reducing waste. The Kanban system helps Toyota achieve JIT manufacturing by creating a seamless, demand-driven production flow that eliminates inefficiencies and optimizes resources. This approach not only saves time and money, but also fosters a culture of continuous improvement, making it an integral part of Toyota's success. And today, the process is widely adopted around the world. These changes made Japanese products achieve all sorts of accolades, even an Emmy Award for TV. Gradually, the perception of made in Japan went from poor to high quality. Years later, another rising TV manufacturer would come into the picture, Samsung, which initially produced items of poorer quality. And made in Korea was also viewed as low quality. You might start to see a pattern here. Just like Japan, different large Korean conglomerates, collectively called chaebols, would export Korea out of poverty and initially gain a reputation for poor quality before turning things around. Despite all the great things that chaebols have done, they are actually a cause of concern for Korea. Chaebol leaders are often accused of flouting rules and controlling Korea. We touch on this in more detail in one of our previous videos, South Korea's Kingpin Pandemic: Why do business leaders get away with crime? But it's important to know that the top 3 chaebols that emerged are Samsung, Hyundai, and LG. The first being Samsung. In 2006, Samsung's technology finally caught up to the Japanese and their TVs. The Bordeaux TV was a hit. That year, they became the #1 manufacturer of LCD TVs, beating Sony for the first time. They would continue to maintain that position, undefeated, and as of now, for 16 years straight. You might be wondering why Japan didn't maintain their lead. One reason was that they were going through a period of depression named the Lost Decades. Of course, among many other factors. But by now, you can see a pattern of how Made in Anywhere really starts off with a country having a poor reputation first, then becoming better once technology or business processes advance. And it isn't difficult to see how China could repeat this pattern as well. Why Made in China might not matter as much among Gen Zs. Around the late 1970s, then-President Deng Xiaoping opened up China's economy for trade to the rest of the world. With a billion-strong population, who historically were hard workers, China became a manufacturing haven for most companies. Some of the first few companies were Volkswagen, Motorola, and Nokia, and they were followed by many more. Just like what happened in Japan and Korea, funding, technology, and knowledge came flooding in, and very quickly, mega factory cities were established. Shanghai became one of the main manufacturers of steel, Shenzhen for electronics, Ningbo for chemicals, and many others with diversified production in textiles, petrochemicals, and machinery. These factories would eventually master the trade and began providing their services to others, creating a category called OEM, or Original Equipment Manufacturers. These days, OEMs are so common that a content creator can work with one to produce their own merch. Because OEMs are focused on efficiency and mass production, the initial batches of OEM products are of lower quality, and this eventually earned China a negative reputation. But things are going to change, and the early 2020s is a great time to be an observer. Because we're at the final stages of the Made in China 2025 plan. Released back in 2015, Made in China 2025 is an ambitious strategic plan to transform the country into a high-tech, innovation-driven global powerhouse. The initiative focuses on advanced manufacturing, domestic innovation, and environmental sustainability across 10 priority sectors. The plan, if successful, will improve Chinese innovations and business processes and ensure that it is more competitive with, if not better than, the rest of the world. Again, echoing history, in Japan, then Korea. But Made in China likely won't matter to Gen Z. Not just because Made in China might stand for better quality in the future. It's also because of inflationary pressures and changes in the world. Over the last 20 years, global inflation has been hovering around 3 to 5%. And then it spiked in 2022 to 9%. This effectively doubles the average price of goods from when Gen Z was born to when they reach adulthood. At the same time, social media pressure is now no longer limited to your inner circle, but spread to a large group of people that you don't necessarily know. Launched in 2016, content on TikTok, which is the predominant social media platform among Gen Z, is consumed via the For You page, or FYP. The FYP is an endless stream of content that isn't necessarily from your friends or even your country. It's based more on your content preferences. This new social media structure, followed by over 1 billion active users, rakes up video views by the millions, and in some cases, the billions. And we are well aware that other platforms have pivoted into short video content because of it. Just take a look at Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts. As a typical Gen Z circle of viewers and commenters is significantly inflated, the need to look good becomes of increasing importance. It also explains why Shein, a Chinese fast fashion company, has taken over the market share of both H&M and Zara in the US. Shein invented what some call ultra-fast fashion, churning out an average of 6,000 new designs a day. Compare this with H&M and Zara, who come up with around 25,000 to 35,000 new designs per year. As of the early 2020s, Shein has an estimated $16 million in sales and over 10,000 employees. For Gen Zs, they don't purchase Shein because its quality is superior. Some even routinely do reviews revealing that Shein's fit and quality isn't perfect. But what Shein shines in is in being just enough, with a ridiculously low price point. This drives new shopping behavior called fashion hauling, where a youth purchases a large quantity of product, typically to hit the free delivery threshold. Made in China may seem of poorer quality now, but if China's Made in China 2025 plan succeeds, this will no longer be the case. But even if it fails, it seems unlikely that Made in China would still be perceived badly, because the future for Gen Zs involves rising inflation, depressed wages, and a pressure to look good. If you were them, can you avoid Made in China? By the way, if you want to know more about the origin story of Japan's Sony or South Korea's Samsung, then you might want to check out our podcast, Empires. In each episode, we take you on an epic audio journey, exploring the unbelievable rise of their founders from the burning cities of World War II to their big releases that shaped the world of consumer electronics. But wait, there's more. We've got an extensive catalog where we unravel the rise of industry giants like Globe Telecom, arguably the Philippines' largest telecommunications company, and the transformation of unicorns like Tencent into unstoppable monopolies. All right, that's all from me. Thank you for watching, and I hope we've left you with something to take back from the video. Till the next one, from One Up Media, this is Empires.